Hi everyone, Jessica here from Paper Ink Stamp and welcome back to another card making video. So we've got a magazine video for you today. So this is Simply Cards and Papercraft issue 213. This is called Tranquil Tulips and this comes with an embossing folder. You've got sentiment stamps and then a layering die as well. I feel like we haven't had a new magazine video for quite a while now, so I'm really excited when I got this through the post, and we can go ahead and carry on with our magazine videos like we've done back last year. So now let's take a look in the magazine itself. So we have got inspiration, of course. There are digital files, as always, that you can download, and what they do have is sample colours, like swatches that you can download, and then you can die cut the tulip dies to then layer those up. So we're definitely going to be having a go at doing that. It's quite a small tulip. It would have been nice if it was a little bit bigger, but I think it's really great that they've given you those kind of colour swatches online to be able to print out, so you can then get the sort of different colours if you perhaps don't have cardstock of like within the same family that all sort of the gradient colours. It works really perfectly for that because it means then you can get a really beautiful sort of layered look, which is what these layering dies are all about. So in next month's issue, which is actually this month's issue, this is called Herb Garden. We've got 40 stamps, 3 versatile dies, and an embossing folder. So again, another really big one. And I believe this comes on sale the end of this month, so I don't think it's going to be long until I get that one through the post as well. But for now, let's get started making our card today. So I want to save those layering tulip dies for another video again, because we're going to download then that swatch and use that. So for this card, we're going to be using the embossing folder and one of the sentiments. So we're going to make a Mother's Day card today. So I'm just going to show you first of all how this embossing folder cuts. So I have a Gemini die cutting machine. So I've got my 2 plates here. So the combination that I'm using is literally just a cutting plate, then I've got my embosser folder with my cardstock, and then my second cutting plate on top of that, and it can all just get pushed through and then it embossed really beautifully. So the first cardstock that I used through the embossing folder was a lot thinner. This is like a smooth, almost like a stamping cardstock. So it did give a really lovely impression. You can see here it's really deep and beautiful. I do end up using a thicker cardstock. I find there is less like to get any cracking or anything, but it still works just as well. So I think this has come out really beautifully. I was thinking originally about doing my background in this bubblegum pink. So this is the Craft Perfect weave texture. I thought it'd be really nice against that weaved cardstock, but I decided not to use this in the end. I just used a white one. But I just wanted to show you how beautiful it looks in textured card, and you can see the back of that as well. So it's embossed one side and debossed on the other. So loads of techniques that you could use with this embossing folder. And I have kept this example in. So I was playing around, doing lots of different things, putting ink in the embossing folder, and I was going to clean it. So I've just wiped it over with a baby wipe, and I wanted to get it nice and dry. So I just got some paper towel, and I have briefly seen this in a few of other people's videos, actually embossing on paper towel, and so I've kept this in here to show you. This might be something that we look at in another video, but I was so surprised when I took it back out. So same process, putting it through the die cutting machine with the same combination of plates, but it's turned it into paper. It's compressed it all together. It's no longer textured. It was odd sensation looking at it, because it was something that I just hadn't even tried before. So definitely think that I'm going to maybe have a look and see what other people are doing, what people have done with it, maybe to create backgrounds and things like that, maybe more mixed media projects. I'm not 100% sure, but I might do a little bit of research and maybe create a video sort of using the paper towels and really see what we can create. But for now, let's get into making the card for today's video. So you can see that I've just created another panel. So I've used some of the Crafter's Companion watercolour cardstock for that panel. I've run that through the die cutting machine, and I put that to one side. And now I'm just going to create some circle layers just to create our topper and a little bit of interest. So you've seen the packaging there for this second circle. This came from an older issue of Die Cutting Essentials. It's one that I got from my nan. I don't think I've ever used it before, but I thought it was really beautiful with that stitch detail. And then I've cut just a regular circle with a little bit of stitched detailing on the outline, and that was in the bubblegum pink colour. Again, that weaved cardstock by Craft Perfect by Tonic, because I thought that was really beautiful colour, so I thought that would work really nicely. And I'm just trimming down my panel, so I'm trimming this to the edge of the embossed pattern, so it doesn't cut that centre circle out. It's not a cut and emboss folder, it's just an embossing folder. I personally would have loved it if the tulip design was just all over. It didn't have that centerpiece, because I really would have liked to have made a smaller card but gotten as much of that tulip background as possible. So I ended up making a 7 by 5 inch card, but I really would have loved to made a smaller card, just because I feel like there's a lot of empty space that I kind of left on here. But for now, we're going to create a topper. So like I said earlier, I want to create a Mother's Day card. So I'm taking one of the Clearly Besotted stamp sets that I got this month. So this is Cuddle Buddies, I think it was called. And there's a few different critters just hugging and cuddling together. And I thought this would be really beautiful for a Mother's Day card. So I'm going to create sort of a topper with this. And I think I'm really kind of getting into this a little bit more, is doing a bit of masking, stamping and masking, and creating these kind of toppers, because I think it's a really great way of using sort of little critter stamps, just to, you know, use them in a slightly different way. So I've stamped that onto my white die cut circle, and now I'm just going to create a mask. I'm going to do this off camera, and that's just stamping it onto a post-it note, so a full sticky backed post-it note. I can pop that over the top, and then that is going to let me then create my background. And I'm going to use my alcohol markers to create this background. I don't want anything sort of too fussy. You could, you know, create wallpaper and different things like that, and just create really fun toppers. But here I'm just doing something quite simple. So I am using my tri-blend markers. So when I'm creating this background, I did notice that my this is the jade, the lightest jade colour, the tri-blend pens are starting to run out, and I didn't really have enough in it to kind of do that full background, so I ended up then having to go a whole shade down and then kind of redo it. So a little bit frustrating, that's when my pens are starting to run out, but then again I have coloured with them quite a lot, and they have lasted me probably over a year now, so all in all they've done really well, but I am sort of coming closer to the end of, you know, some of those lighter colours that I've got. So we've got two little kittens, so I'm just going to colour these in. Again, not really doing anything too sort of special, just putting some shadows in. I'm trying to go a little bit darker in some areas, maybe where the jade colour has sort of just overlapped very slightly, but yeah, I'm happy with it, how it looks. So that is our topper finished. So what we can do next is then look at creating our sentiment. So we're going to be, like I said, creating Mother's Day. So they've got a few different sentiments on here. So you've got "You Are Loved," "Just for You," and then that "Happy Mother's Day." I really love the fonts, like I said earlier, so that mixture of the handwriting and then that sort of block font I think is really pretty. So we are going to heat emboss this. So I've just sped it up a little bit because this is the same thing that I do sort of all the time. So I am using my stamping platform just to make sure I get a good impression. I'm stamping then with the Versamark clear sticky ink onto a piece of black cardstock, and then I am using that Sweet Dixie Glacier white embossing powder, so just pouring that over and then just sort of flicking off any excess. And you did see me then use my anti-static bag as well, just to make sure that embossing powder doesn't sort of stick anywhere I don't want it to. And then I can heat set that, so I've let my heat gun get up to temperature so it doesn't warp too much. I'm heating from the front and the back as well. I'm going to set that to one side, let it cool, and then we can trim it down after. The other thing I did do, included in the free gift of the magazine, there were 2 love hearts in there as well. So I have die cut the smaller heart. So I just took some white cardstock, used one of my red alcohol markers, just sort of coloured it, and then die cut from that. And I've just popped that above those 2 kittens just to sort of show the love a little bit. So I'm going to start putting this card together now. So I'm just using my tape runner just to really secure this pink circle, because obviously you've got that raised, there's raised edges of the actual embossing. You've got then the circle as well is raised, and then of course I want to make sure that it's stuck down in the middle. I'm then going to pop this down onto my card base. So I was thinking about trimming it a little bit more and matte and layering it, but I do kind of like that white on white. Like I said, I would have liked to have maybe made a smaller card, but I really wanted you to kind of be able to see that really beautiful sort of tulip design. So it would have been nice, like I said earlier, if it maybe didn't have that circle element in the middle, just so you could really kind of use this a lot more, be a lot more versatile. But of course you can always just cover it like I have. You don't have to show it if you don't want to. You can put something over the top of it. I'm using some foam pads to give a bit of dimension to the topper, and then I will be using a thicker foam pad then for our sentiment as well, just so that stands more up from the card than what this topper does. So you can really use this embossing folder for lots of different kinds of occasions. You can mix it with lots of different products. So I'm mixing it here with something quite cartoony, something a little bit different. And I think it still works really well together. So I'm kind of utilising my card making supplies that I've already got, the stamp sets that I've already got, and kind of mixing in then these free products with it as well. It just gets a little bit more use out of all of your craft supplies, really. So you can see that I popped that down just in the middle. Like I said, I'm going to pop some foam onto our sentiment. I've left a little bit of space on the left hand side because I'm going to have it coming in from the left. So it looks a little bit more kind of like a banner across the bottom. So obviously you did say I was wondering about putting a matte layer underneath our embossed panel. I was thinking about doing the black, but then I didn't know if it would look a little bit heavy with the black, but I thought that would fit in kind of nice with our sentiment. So this is the point where I wanted to add a little bit more. I thought maybe the background needed a bit of colour. So I took out my Spectrum Noir sparkle pen. So this was the champagne, I think it was. And the idea was I wanted to colour in just a few of those tulip heads. But this is really one of those occasions where you should know when to stop and not mess something up right at the last minute. So you can see this is how it ended up. Of course it bled. I knew it was going to bleed, but it just didn't really cross my mind as I was doing it. So really kind of ruined it. And I sat there for a little while. I couldn't work out how I wanted to fix it. I obviously didn't want to scrap it all together. So I am just going to speed through this. I'm not sure how many crafters who make YouTube videos really keep in like the mistakes and things that they make. I have left my mistakes and things in the past. I've had comments where people, you know, appreciate it just to see, you know, that everybody kind of, you know, makes mistakes and, you know, maybe how to fix them. But yeah, I'm pretty honest. Obviously, I'm just you know, a basic crafter. We all do make mistakes. We do things by accident on purpose, thinking that it's great, and then it doesn't work out. But so I did try to cut some of the tulips from that pink cardstock that I cut first of all, and then I thought I could cover it, add a couple in, it would go nicely then with the background circle, but it really didn't work. So I did try to cut it out really well. That was fine, but yeah, it just looked a little bit odd. So I didn't really know how to fix it past that. So I just decided to take it all apart. So I really carefully sort of picked it all apart. I created a new embossed background panel. Again, trimmed that down, basically just rebuilt it. So what you're seeing here is the entire card being made in sort of less than a minute. So that is the finished card. So I didn't add any embellishments, to be honest. I really didn't want to ruin it for a second time, so I just left it as it was. I am really happy with how it came out. I do love that sort of white on white background. I think that looks really beautiful, and I really love then being able to incorporate the free gifts you get from the magazines with the other products that I have bought in my stash. So I think it's really great being able to sort of mix those two together. So that is it for this video. I hope you've enjoyed it, showing you that everybody makes mistakes. If you do know how to fix it, if you've got any ideas how I could have fixed it, leave me a comment down below. If you did like the video, then please give it a thumbs up. And yeah, if you haven't subscribed to my channel already, please do so you don't miss out on any future videos. So thanks very much for watching and happy crafting.